Hi there, this is Mr. Wild at createatest.co.uk, and today we're going to be looking at a question that involves finding the minimum and maximum after a number has been rounded, or previous to a number being rounded, that it could possibly have been. So the question is set up on this one that we are finding a minimum length. So we have some discs, and each disc has a radius of 12. But that number 12 is not exact. That 12 is just a rounded number to the nearest millimetre. So first of all, we've got to think what that 12 could possibly be. Well, if you think about it, if the disc had have been 11.9 millimetres, and I rounded to the nearest millimetre, I'd have rounded to 12 millimetres. If them discs had been 12.4 millimetres, and I rounded to the nearest millimetre, I would have got 12 millimetres. If, however, the disc had a diameter of 11.4 millimetres, I would have actually rounded downwards towards 11 millimetres. So we've got to find the number that would be the changeover point between rounding up or down to 12 rather than going to 11 or 13. So that changeover point, well, we can think what happens when we have 11.5. Well, 11.5, we're told earlier on that 11.5 rounds up to 12. Anything smaller than 11.5, 11.49999999, would round down to 11, because we know if this digit is a 5, we round upwards. We know if this digit is a 4, we round downwards. So we know the minimum value this 12 could have been is the lowest possible value is 11.5. And we also know that the highest value it could be is not 12.5, but just kind of, I'm going to write R here, is greater than 11.5. It could be 11.5, but it's got to be less than, and it's got to be less than 12.5. It can't actually be 12.5, it can be anything less. So what we've said there is this 12 millimetre, correct to the nearest millimetre, could have been any number between 11.5, including 11.5, up to 12.5. Now, if we're going to find the minimum length of the discs, we're going to have to work with this number here. If we're going to find the maximum number, we could work with the number 12.499999999999, going on for a long time, but what we're going to do instead is work with 12.5, because it's nearly right. It's just off. So because we're working with a minimum, we're going to work with 11.5. Now the radius of the disc is 11.5 as a minimum. So the radius is 11.5. The diameter of a disc is therefore, if we times it by 2, because 2 times the radius gives us the diameter, is 23 millimetres. And if we look, and this is 23 as a minimum, as we know this is no longer 12 as a minimum, we have 200 of these discs, so we need to do 23 times 200, which gives us 4,600 millimetres. So that is the minimum that these discs lined up in a row. That's the minimum length. Now, if we used 12.5 to find the maximum, the calculation would have been exactly the same. We would have taken 12.5, where this 11.5 is here. We'd have times by 2, and then we would have times by 200 this, and we would have just got a higher or upper bound for the possible length of all these discs put together.